The family dinner wasn't at home. It was at a small restaurant just outside Fort Collins, Colorado, one of those half-rural, half-aspiring places that tries too hard to feel local. Brick walls painted with fake age. Edison bulbs hanging too low. Booths just wide enough to keep people together without letting them be close. The kind of place that thinks it can host something personal just because it dims the lights. Lauren picked it. Said it would be nice to get out. Do something together. As a family. Her voice lingered on those last 3 words like they meant something. At the time, I let myself believe they still did. We sat in a corner booth. Lauren next to me, Emily across from us. The waiter was young, too cheerful, the kind that hovers a little too long, trying to catch the rhythm of a table that isn't his. Emily didn't look up from her phone even once while he listed the specials. I caught Lauren glancing at me when I ordered a burger. Not judgmental, just passive. That distant quiet she did so well. The kind that says, just be easy tonight. I was always supposed to be easy. The food came fast. No one commented on it. Conversation was fragmented. Weather, school, a friend's wedding Lauren was planning to attend alone. I nodded in the right places. Emily spoke when she wanted something. Lauren offered soft little cues of approval whenever Emily managed a full sentence. I added what I could. Mostly, I watched the window, where the night pressed against the glass like a secret waiting to get in. Then it happened. Our plates had been cleared. Coffee had just been poured. Emily leaned across the table, tucked her phone into her sleeve, and said it. When is he finally going to leave our family? He's an imposter. She didn't whisper. Not really. It was quiet, but not hidden. Like she wanted her mother to hear. Like she knew she was safe saying it. She didn't know I heard. Or maybe she did. Maybe she didn't care. My body went still. I didn't look at her. I didn't look at Lauren. I didn't blink. I stared straight ahead, into the flickering flame of the fake candle sitting between us. That moment lasted forever. Not because of the words themselves, but because of what didn't follow. Lauren said nothing. She didn't scold her. Didn't recoil. Didn't lean away or tell her to stop. She didn't even pause. She just reached for her cup and sipped her coffee. Like nothing had happened. Like the word imposter wasn't still hovering in the air. Sharp-edged and wet with blood. I didn't move. Because if I had moved, even an inch, something inside me would have broken so loudly the entire restaurant would have gone silent. Instead, I studied the moment. Memorized it. Let it imprint itself in me like a brand. I had spent years in this role, husband, stepfather, provider, and now I understood what it had always been. Temporary. Conditional. A contract no one signed but everyone enforced. The drive home was quiet. Lauren talked about some documentary she wanted to watch later. Emily mumbled about school deadlines. I drove with both hands on the wheel, eyes locked on the dark road, playing back everything I dismissed for too long. Emily always said, my family, never our family. Her tone didn't change whether I was standing in the room or halfway across the country. Lauren's favorite phrase, don't interfere, said like a prayer. Said when I tried to discipline. Said when I questioned decisions. Said when I offered advice that wasn't hers first. I remembered birthday parties planned without my input. Bills paid from my account without discussion. Holidays where I carried the groceries, drove the guests, handled the cleanup, but was never included in the toasts. I was always the one behind the camera, never in the frame. Even in small things. The keys left on the counter, assuming I'd grab them. The dog's food bowl left empty. The light left on in the garage. They lived around me, not with me. I told myself they were just adjusting. That stepfamilies took time. That love had to be earned slowly, over years of consistency and patience. I gave them both, in silence. But that night, everything recontextualized. All of it. The adjusting wasn't adjusting, it was rejection in slow motion. They weren't hesitating to accept me. They were simply waiting for me to leave. And until then, I was expected to perform. Quietly, reliably, without complaint. I was a placeholder. A warm body with a credit card. And Lauren's silence confirmed it. I stared at her as she watched the road roll by in the headlights. I thought about the version of love she had given me. Soft when needed, but never defended. Always present, but never loyal. She never protected me from her daughter. Never demanded that I be seen. Never pulled me into the inner circle of her private world. Her love was functional. Necessary. Like plumbing. Like furniture. I had confused maintenance with intimacy. And now I saw the difference. We pulled into the driveway. I parked like I always did, careful not to wake the neighbor's dog. Gentle on the brakes so the headlights wouldn't hit the front windows too hard. Emily got out first, shoes scuffing the gravel as she ran up the steps and into the house. Lauren lingered at the passenger door. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Just tired." She smiled. "Long week." I nodded again. She didn't ask what was really wrong. Maybe she didn't want to know. Maybe she knew already. Inside the house, everything was where it always was. Shoes kicked off near the door. A jacket draped over the back of a chair. The scent of citrus and detergent still lingering from the morning's cleaning. I walked through it all like a guest in someone else's home. Upstairs, the bedroom light was on. Lauren moved through her routine. She took off her earrings, opened her nightstand drawer, checked her phone, slipped into silence like it was a robe. I stood in the hallway, staring at the floorboards, wondering how long I had been invisible in my own house. 3 years? 5? Was there a specific day it started? Or had it always been this way, just hidden behind obligations, tasks, routines? I remembered the first time Emily refused to say goodnight to me. I had brushed it off as teenage moodiness. I remembered Lauren saying, "Just let it go. She's complicated." I had believed that. I had trusted that love would grow in time. But love never grew. What grew was resentment, distance, quiet permissions to disregard me. I was good enough to drive them, good enough to pay, good enough to wait up late when Emily stayed out too long, good enough to unclog the drains, fix the gutters, kill the spiders. But not good enough to be included in the language of belonging. Not part of the family. Not really. That night, I sat in the dark at the kitchen table long after everyone had gone to bed. No lights, just the glow from the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock on the wall. I let the silence stretch until it stopped feeling peaceful and started feeling honest. And I thought, this is what being erased feels like. Not with anger, not with screaming, but with quiet endurance. With silence passed down like inheritance. They hadn't forgotten me. They had never included me. That's worse. I woke before dawn. Not from noise. Not from a dream. I just woke. Like a man called up from somewhere deep inside himself. The kind of waking that doesn't come with panic or rush. Just a quiet knowing. Beside me, Lauren slept in the same position she'd fallen into the night before. Her back to me, one arm tucked beneath her head. Her breathing slow, even, untouched. She hadn't noticed how far apart we drifted across the mattress. Or maybe she had. Maybe she liked it that way. I watched the ceiling for a while, then got up. Quiet steps. No sound. I didn't want a confrontation. I didn't want a goodbye. I packed a backpack, not a suitcase. Just enough for a few days. 2 shirts, a toothbrush, chargers. Nothing sentimental. No photos. No letters. I didn't open the drawer where I kept the birthday cards Emily never signed. I didn't take the watch Lauren gave me on our first anniversary, the one I never wore because it always felt performative, a gesture without weight. Downstairs, the kitchen was still. Moonlight touched the countertop. The house held its breath like it knew what was happening. I didn't leave a note. That would have made it theatrical. And I didn't want to be remembered with drama. I wasn't leaving in anger. I was leaving because the performance was over. The truth had been spoken. I was an imposter, and imposters don't get curtain calls. I locked the door behind me. The sound of the latch sliding into place was quieter than I expected. I stood on the porch for a second, breathing in the cold air. It smelled like pine and distance. Then I got in my truck and drove. I didn't go far. There's a studio apartment across town, past the feed store and 2 lots down from a mechanic who never opens on time. I'd found it 3 months ago, when I first started wondering what a quiet life might look like. Back then, it felt like betrayal to even consider it. Now it felt like survival. I unlocked the door. The place smelled like dust and dry wood. One window, no curtains, a narrow bed, a sink that whined when I turned it on. I dropped the bag on the floor and sat on the edge of the bed. Not to think, just to be still. That night, I made 3 phone calls, each one to the same man, Thomas, Emily's biological father. The first call rang 4 times before voicemail picked up. I didn't leave a message. I wanted him to hear my voice. The second call came an hour later. He answered this time groggy, confused. Hello. I didn't yell. Didn't insult him. Didn't recount all the years he vanished while I picked up the pieces. I said one thing. Take your family. All of them. Without me. Silence. Then a breathy laugh. The kind people make when they think you're bluffing. What's this about? I said nothing. He paused. Look, if this is some kind of... I'm done, Thomas. He went quiet. Lauren. Emily. The house. The car. The bills. They're yours now. A pause. Then, more softly, what did they do? I didn't answer. He wasn't owed my pain. He sighed. You sure about this? Yes. And I hung up. The third call was unnecessary. I made it anyway 2 hours later. Just rang once, then ended it. A silent reminder. I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't bleeding for them anymore. After that, I turned off my phone. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, the panic began. I didn't witness it, but I can imagine it. Lauren waking to an empty bed. No car in the driveway. My keys missing. No note. Just absence. Pure and undeniable. I picture her walking the house, checking rooms, then calling my phone. Once, twice, 10 times. Emily wouldn't have cared at first. She never did. But by breakfast, she would have noticed the Wi-Fi was down. The streaming services frozen. Her phone bill unpaid. By noon, the cards were declined. I had moved fast. Bank accounts? Split and reassigned. My name stripped from the joint ones. Her access revoked. Mortgage? Redirected. Utilities? Paid forward for 1 month. Then pulled. Everything that once flowed through me, gone. Not with cruelty. With precision. I didn't do it to punish. I did it because the contract had been severed. Imposters don't pay the bills. By evening, the messages started. Lauren first. Lauren. Where are you? Please call me. I'm worried. Then, is this about Emily? Can we talk? Then, I didn't know you were this petty. 3 hours later, I told her what she said was wrong. I told her it was unfair. But that wasn't true. She hadn't said a word. Then came the excuses. You misunderstood. It was just a joke. She didn't mean it. Then the accusation. You're abandoning us. After everything we've built. That word again. The same word she used to describe a garden she never watered. I read the messages in silence. Then deleted them. Not out of anger. Just clarity. You don't argue with people who erased you. You don't ask them to redraw the outline. You leave the blank space and move on. Emily didn't message. Of course she didn't. But I know she felt it. The frozen bank card. The unpaid car insurance. The streaming platforms logging her out one by one. The silence. The absence of the man who made her life seamless, now removed. I imagined her calling Thomas. I imagined him answering. I imagined the look on her face when she realized he wouldn't save her. Because he never did. Because he won't. Because he can't. And now neither will I. Lauren tried calling the next night. 11 times. I let each one ring. I watched the screen light up and go dark. Over and over. Like a lighthouse begging a ship to come home. But the ship is already moored somewhere else. I didn't answer because I had no role left to play. If I answered, I'd be pulled back in. Not with love, but with guilt. Not with apologies, but with fear. That's what they felt now. Fear. Not loss. Not remorse. Fear that the machine had stopped. That the warm body who funded their ease had finally stepped out of frame. On the third day, Thomas called me. Twice. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't leave one. Maybe he thought better of it. Or maybe he realized what I had. When the scaffolding collapses, everyone looks for the man who held it up. But I'm no longer holding. I'm no longer standing beneath them. By the end of the week, I started receiving copies of things I wasn't supposed to see. A letter from the credit card company, forwarded by mistake. Lauren's balance, already overdue. An email from the school, marked urgent. Emily's tuition deadline missed. The world they'd built on my labor was buckling, and all I felt was peace. Not joy, not vindication, just peace, the kind that only comes when you've finally stopped begging to be seen. They didn't wake up without me. They woke up without the system. No gas card, no tuition, no allowance, no safety net. Lauren called it a misunderstanding at first. A mistake. The bank must have glitched, she told Emily. He would never just stop. But I did. Not loudly. Not out of vengeance. Just like they had done to me. Quietly, completely, and with no warning. The first week, they tried to operate as usual. Lauren went grocery shopping like she always did. 2 carts full of preferences, snacks, name brands Emily insisted on. At the checkout, she swiped the card and it declined. She tried again. And again. Declined. The cashier looked at her like a child fumbling with a grown-up's wallet. Lauren left the cart behind. She texted me from the parking lot. Is the joint card frozen? I think there's a problem. Please fix it. I didn't reply. She tried the savings account next. The one I set up when Emily turned 16, meant for college, emergencies, and things we never wanted to say aloud. Password changed. Access denied. By Thursday, Emily was on the phone with the school. Financial aid. Registrar. I know how those calls go. I've made them. You think if you sound calm enough, if you sound important enough, they'll make an exception. They don't. They told her tuition was unpaid. She'd been removed from her online portal. Her email locked. Hold on her classes. Access suspended. She didn't message me. Of course not. But Thomas did. His name popped up on my phone just past midnight. Thomas Sell. I let it ring 4 times. Then I answered. Hey! He said, voice low, like he was embarrassed to be calling. We need to talk. No, we don't. She's scared, man. So was I. A beat of silence. He cleared his throat. She told me what happened. At dinner. She meant it. I don't think she meant it, Thomas. He sighed. So what now? You just let everything fall apart? I stared at the ceiling. I didn't break anything. I just stopped pretending I was part of it. Another silence. He didn't know how to argue with that. She's a kid. No. She's a young adult who knows how to weaponize love. And you've never shown up unless someone else did the heavy lifting. You think you're perfect? No. But I was present. I built the life she spits on. He didn't reply. Now it's your turn, I said. You want to be her father? Be her father. Then I hung up. That weekend, I drove past the house. Not to check on them. I wasn't looking for weakness or regret. I wanted proof of my absence. The lawn hadn't been mowed. Mail was piling up near the door. The porch light was still on, flickering. A single strand of Christmas lights, forgotten since last winter, had started to sag. It looked like a place being held together by memory. I sat across the street in my truck. Didn't get out. Just watched. The front window, the one I'd resealed last spring after a storm cracked the frame, had fog between the panes. Double glazed, thermal protected, paid for by me. Useless now. A car pulled into the driveway. Emily. Alone. She got out, slammed the door. She was on the phone, yelling at someone, probably the school. Her hand gestures were wild, dramatic. She kept looking up at the sky, like maybe someone would come down and make sense of it all. No one would. She unlocked the front door. Stuck. I used to oil that hinge every month. She had to shove it open with her shoulder. She disappeared inside. I didn't stay. The following Monday, Lauren called again. I answered this time. Her voice was composed. Tired, but trying to sound in control. I'd like to meet. Somewhere neutral. Why? Because we're not children. We can talk. Where? She suggested the same restaurant. The one where Emily's sentence ended everything. I said no. I picked a diner instead. Plastic booths, burnt coffee, no romance. No illusions. We met at 8:30 a.m. She arrived first. I saw her through the window before I walked in. She looked smaller. Not fragile. Just narrowed. Like life had turned down the volume on her posture. She stood when I entered. We didn't hug. We sat. Neither of us touched the menus. She started. You left. I nodded. You froze everything. I nodded again. She swallowed. You didn't even warn me. You didn't warn me when you let your daughter call me an imposter. She didn't mean it. She didn't stutter. Lauren blinked. Her eyes were tired. Red. She's under pressure. She's 18. I was feeding her when she was 10. Driving her to school. Buying her coats. Paying for tutors while you told me not to interfere. I leaned forward. You let her ignore me, and you called that peace. I was trying to keep the family together. No, I said. You were keeping it comfortable. For her. Silence. Then she asked the question she came to ask. What would it take to fix this? I looked at her for a long time, and I realized this wasn't a question born from love. It was born from collapse. She didn't miss me. She missed what I carried. The ease. The security. The problem solver who never asked for thanks. I could have named a price. Condition. An apology. I could have turned this into a negotiation. But I didn't, because I wasn't theirs to fix anymore. So I said, there's nothing left to fix. You chose where I stood. I finally agreed with you. She nodded once. And then she cried. Right there, in a vinyl booth under buzzing lights, across from the man who had poured everything into her world. She cried. Not because I was gone, but because now she had to carry what I used to. And she wasn't ready. Back at the studio, I received 2 emails. One from the school. A courtesy alert. Emily Rose's enrollment is pending cancellation due to unpaid fees. Please contact our billing department. I marked it as spam. The second was from Lauren. No subject. No greeting. Just a line. She's scared. You could still help. I stared at the screen. And I thought. Help who? The girl who erased me? The mother who let her? The family that treated me like scaffolding? Useful only when invisible? They didn't want help. They wanted rescue. Without apology. Without reckoning. And I was done being their silent rescue. The final message came 3 days later. From Emily. Her first message in over a year. I know you hate me. I don't blame you. But I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Please. I read it. I didn't respond. Because she still hadn't said the one word that would have made it real. Sorry. She wanted comfort, not consequence. And I had spent too many years giving one while absorbing the other. They say time softens things. That distance turns sharp edges smooth. I don't believe that. What time does is expose the bones beneath the flesh. When the weight of memory lifts, all that's left is structure, what was real, what held, what collapsed. And in the end, what collapsed was never me. It was the illusion that I was ever part of them. It's been 8 months since I left. The studio's small, but it fits. 1 room. A bed that doesn't creak. A window that doesn't lie. I replaced the cracked tiles myself. Painted the walls. I live in the kind of silence most men spend their whole lives avoiding. But for me, it's not silence. It's honesty. There's a rhythm here now. A different kind of routine. Mornings with black coffee. Evenings with a chair by the window. No more pretending I'm heard. No more waiting to be invited into my own life. Some days I catch myself doing the math. 3 years. That's how long I lived in that house. That's how long I paid the bills, drove Emily to school, stood behind Lauren in every photo. Smiling. Present. Erased. I was always paying. With money, with time, with pieces of myself. $17,000 toward Emily's first year of college. Groceries. Internet. Utilities. Every subscription they never noticed until it vanished. The car I co-signed for sold, apparently. The money? Gone. But the cost wasn't financial. It was spiritual. It was waking up every day knowing I was needed but not wanted. Expected but not respected. Tolerated. Tolerated like noise in the next room. That's what made it worse. Not the open insults. Not even that dinner. It was the slow erosion. The decision made day after day, moment after moment, to live around me instead of with me. They never said, "We don't want you here." They said nothing. And nothing kills more quietly than silence. Lauren reached out 3 times since the diner. The first message was measured, diplomatic, the voice of someone still clinging to dignity. "I just want you to know we're figuring things out. It's been hard, but I understand. I do. If you ever want to talk, not to fix anything, just to talk, I'd like that." I didn't answer. The second message was colder. "Emily says you blocked her. That's cruel. Whatever happened between us, she's still a child. She wasn't a child when she called me an imposter. She wasn't a child when she sat beside me at dinner, using my last name only when it suited her college forms, not when it came time to speak it. She wasn't a child when she looked me in the eye on Father's Day and said nothing at all." The third message was short. "I hope you're okay." That one I believe, because by then, Lauren knew I wasn't coming back. She didn't cry the day I walked out. She cried the day she realized I stayed gone. And Emily? She sent another message 2 months after the first. This one was longer. Less panic, more shape. "I've been thinking a lot. I didn't understand what I said that night. I was angry, confused. I didn't know it would cost me everything. I wish I could take it back." That's the thing with words. You can't. You can apologize for them. You can regret them, but you cannot unspeak them, especially when they reveal what was always true. She thought I was temporary. And when someone shows you they believe that once clearly, it doesn't matter how many "I didn't mean it"s follow. What's spoken in confidence is rarely a lie. Thomas never called again. But I heard through someone mutual, a friend of a friend, that he's been trying to step up. Funny phrase. Trying never bought groceries. Trying never stayed up until 2 a.m. on a school night helping with homework. Trying never stood outside a broken-down car in February, covered in snow, waiting for a tow because Emily forgot to check the oil. But now he's trying. Let him. Let him carry what I carried. Let him pay the full price. Let him sit at that same table and listen to the silence his own daughter offers when she's done using him. I hope it haunts him. I hope he understands what it is to be needed, but not loved. To be present, but not protected. Do I regret leaving? No. What I regret is staying as long as I did. I regret believing that my consistency would earn me a place in their hearts. I regret mistaking patience for virtue when it was really just cowardice. My fear of being honest about what I already knew. They didn't love me. They loved what I provided. And I was too proud, too hopeful to admit the difference. That's the cost of being a stepfather in a house built on ghosts. You're always the intruder, always the outsider. No matter how many lights you fix, no matter how many birthdays you pay for, you can give them everything and still be called an imposter at the end. And the worst part? They'll believe it's fair. So I sit now, in this small room with its creaking radiator and uneven blinds, and I feel peace. Not joy, not justice, just peace. Because I know who I am. And more importantly, I know who I'm not. I'm not their father. I was never allowed to be. I was a bridge. I was scaffolding. I was background. And I stopped pretending otherwise. Sometimes I think about what Emily might become. Whether she'll ever understand the full weight of what she did. Whether she'll sit one day across from a man who loves her and see his face fall when she says something cruel without knowing why. And I wonder if she'll remember me. Not the face, not the name, but the feeling. The warmth that used to surround her when things worked. The silence that meant bills were paid. The presence that never demanded attention. And then the emptiness that replaced it. Maybe that emptiness will teach her. Maybe it won't. But either way, it's not mine to fix. Lauren will move on. She always does. Maybe she already has. Maybe there's another man now, sitting at that same dinner table, smiling through clenched teeth as Emily scrolls her phone and ignores his voice. Maybe he thinks he can make it work. Maybe he thinks time will earn him a seat. I wish him luck. He'll need it. Because love without loyalty is a performance. And men like me, we don't perform anymore. Let me leave you with this. They called me an imposter. They whispered it when they thought I wasn't listening. They built their comfort on my silence. They gambled that I would never leave. And when I did, they crumbled. Not because I was special, but because I was the only one holding anything together. And when the scaffolding steps away, what's left standing says everything. So I ask you now, was I wrong? Was I wrong to stop pouring water into a well that gave nothing back? Was I wrong to walk away from a family that never opened the door all the way? Or was this, finally, the only honest thing I ever did? Would you have stayed? Would you still be there, nodding through silence, paying the bills while they erased your name one dinner at a time? Or would you have left like I did, not with a bang, but with clarity? You tell me, because for the first time in years, I'm not asking them anymore.